At this point, we were making out on his couch. I said to myself, "What are you doing?" I quickly jumped up and ran outside. This all started at the beginning of my freshman year. There I was, rushing along the corridor for my next class while I was trying to get my books out of my bag, when I bumped right into someone. I began to apologize, and as I looked up to see who I had just walked into, sorry, I was momentarily lost for words. I locked eyes with the most good-looking guy I had ever seen. I just assumed he was a new senior, so I tried to get out my apology as quickly as possible so I wouldn't be late for my biology class. When I walked into my class, I sighed with relief. I just had made it to class, and the teacher wasn't here yet. As I was walking towards my seat, there was a lot of chatter and commotion about this new teacher. We had all heard that this year there would be a new bio teacher because Mr. Robertson had retired. We were all expecting a middle-aged to old man or woman to be walking through that door at any second. Then it happened. The handle turned and the door swung open to reveal a very attractive guy standing in the doorway, who was also, in fact, the same guy I had just ran into in the hallway. We started asking the usual questions you do when you get a new teacher. What's your name? How old are you? Then some of the girls in the class began to ask more personal questions like, do you have a wife, a girlfriend, or children? By this point, our new teacher was blushing and becoming more and more uncomfortable. He was trying to change the conversation back to a topic he was more comfortable with. He told us his name, but wouldn't say how old he was. Apparently, this was his first year of teaching, so we guessed that he must be pretty young. A few months passed in his class, and I was loving it. I mean, not only was he easy on the eyes, but his classes were also a lot of fun. He was super helpful and super relatable. It felt like a break from the norm. Plus, having a younger and more attractive teacher definitely kept us all interested in what he had to say. After a while, I began to catch him staring at me from across the busy classroom. It seemed like every time I looked at him, he would quickly look away like I had just caught him. It didn't take long before when I found him looking, he wouldn't look away anymore, and instead, he would look right at me with